Hello, in this video we're going to see the application of implicit differentiation. But before we do that, let's just recall. If I give you y and I tell you differentiate this with respect to x, then the notation becomes dy by dx, right? But when you're doing applications, everything is with respect to time, because time is the variable here. So if I give you y here, it should become dy over dt, because you're differentiating with respect to time now in application. So remember that. Similarly, if there is an x in the problem and the question is to differentiate this, it should become dx over dt, everything with respect to t. Similarly, if there is a p, like price or something, it should become dp over dt, and so on. And if you remember implicit differentiation, anything other than x in the bracket, something like this, you have to use the chain rule. But if you're doing application, anything other than t, you will have to do the chain rule. So even if there is an x there, you will have to do the chain rule. For example, what is the differentiation of this? If you're doing with respect to x, it is just e to the x. But if you're doing with respect to t, it is e to the x times dx over dt. Because if there is anything other than t in the bracket now, you will have to do the chain rule. Similarly, for example, if you have ln of y, the differentiation with respect to t will be 1 over y times dy over dt. Remember, not x anymore. In application, it's with respect to t. So with this in mind, let's do one application problem. Let's see here. See, I give you a problem like this. So what problem? This is called related rates. So if you're doing application of implicit differentiation, it will be called related rates. And any such problem can be done in 4 steps. Okay, in step 1, you'll have to write down whatever is given. In step 2, you will have to find what is not given. We'll see what that is. Step 3, you will have to do the implicit differentiation. And in step 4, you'll have to plug in the values and write down the answer. So let's see step 1. What is given? Let's read the problem. So P over here stands for the price. The supplier is willing to give X thousand units. X is the number of units. And this is the equation that we know, which is x squared minus 2x square root of P minus P squared equals 31. What else do we know? How fast is the supply changing? How fast is the supply changing? When the price is 9, it means the price is given to be 9. And it's increasing at the rate of 20 cents per week. Now remember, rate, if you're doing application, rate means differentiation. Now, the price is P and the rate of price is increasing at 20 cents per week. It means dP over dt is 0.2 because it's increasing at 20 cents per week. If this was decreasing, it would be negative. Now what are they telling you to find? How fast is the supply changing? It means how fast is the x changing? It means they're telling you to find dx over dt. If you understand this much, you can do all 3 steps easily. Now what is given here? P is given, equation is given, dP over dt is given. This is differentiation that we have to find. The only thing that is not given here is the x. So x needs to be found in step 2. So in place of p, you plug in 9 and solve for x because 9 is given. So it'll become x squared minus 2x square root of 9 minus 9 squared equals 31. Now simplify this. Square root of 9 is 3, so you should get x squared minus 6x minus 81 minus 31. How much is that? Let's see quickly. Negative 112, so this is negative 112 equals 0. Now we use the quadratic formula to calculate the answer. This is the fireworks behind. Let's wait a minute. I'm going to pause it. Okay, if we continue, if we solve this for x, x will either be 14 or x will either be negative 6. Right, let's quickly check here. Negative 8, sorry, not negative 4, no, negative 6. Okay, so x is either 14 or x is negative 8. Now remember, whenever you're doing application, x cannot be negative because x is the number of units you're making or being supplied. So they cannot supply you negative units. Okay, so we found the x to be 14. So step 2 is done. Now what else they're asking? They're asking us to find dx by dt next. So dx by dt needs to be done in step 3. Now how do you do that? You differentiate the given function. So what is the differentiation of x squared? It is 2x normally, but now we are doing with respect to t, so it should be times dx over dt minus. Now the second term is 2x square root of p. There are two things multiplied, so you will have to use the product rule. So it should be the first times the differentiation of second plus second, which is square root of p, times the differentiation of the first, which is 2x. It should become 2x dx by dt. Now remember, this is the differentiation of the middle part here, which is using the product rule. What is the differentiation of p squared now? 2p dp over dt equals 0. Now what you have to do is, in place of x, plug in 14. In place of p, plug in 9. In place of dp over dt, plug in 0.2. And simplify the whole thing, leaving only dx by dt. And then solve for dx by dt. So try and do this. Okay, so if you try to plug in the values, this will be the calculation. You should try this on your own. So just before this, you can pause the video and try to do the calculations on your own. In place of x, you plug in 14. In place of p, you plug in 9. And in place of dp over dt, you plug in 0.2 and do the calculations. Your answer should be 0.3754. Now you should go back and read the problem again at this point, because x is in thousands. So at the end, whatever answer you get, you should multiply it with 1,000. So if you multiply 0.3754 with 1,000, you get 375.4. Now this is step 4. So dx by dt is 375.4. And you will have to explain what does that mean. So what this means is that when your price is $9, the rate of supply will change at 375, so approximately 376 units per week. So once again, the meaning of this is when your price is $9, the supplier's rate of supplying will increase by 376 units per week. If this was negative, it means it would decrease by that. So since it's positive, your supplier is willing to supply you more 376 units per week. So any such problem, you can do it in 4 steps like this. It's a bit difficult, but with practice, you should be able to do it. Any questions, you can type below and I will try and answer them.